Maybe you should. No, I've got to get pizzas to that observatory over there. And so you get attacked by some like smoke monster, and you like the pizzas fall off, and you're like scrambling around. Like, oh no, somebody needs the pepperoni.
So I'm swimming through 30-weight motor oil.
Why are these new additions to your game that your intention was to release this fall? What are you doing?
Their primary focus should be surviving litigation.
Someone take his phone. I'll do it. Just give me a key card and a red button that turns off Randy's Wi-Fi.
It pisses me off that they lump racing in with sports. Then you look at this insert F-bomb, Mario Kart and Sonic Racing lumped in with F125.
An aimless rant. We were just angry.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
What's up, everybody? We are live. It is wait, how did I screw up the intro? It's been that kind of week.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently.
It is well, and we'll get into the situation here. It is another episode of the Hardcore Casual Podcast. We'll go that way. But he is Jay of F1 Podcast fame.
I certainly am.
And I am Mason of Online Infamy. And we are the conversation at the This'll Be a Short Show behind you. And it may not be a short show. But there's a little inside joke. So, yeah, it's been a wild, crazy week, Jay. I know that you're like, especially the last week or a couple weeks for you have been unreal.
Yeah, and it's kind of calmed down, and it's kind of weird. I never like it when it calms down. I almost need the absolute warfare that is the beer game, but that part is kind of calmed down. But anytime it does, just like any other company, they find a whole bunch of other stuff to tack in there to fill that gap. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and the injury bug has hit the broadcast, and it is one of the most basic tools of the trade when it comes to broadcasting, podcasting, radio, TV, music, whatever. But it's also the most prone to fail, and that is the suspension arms. Jay's has fallen ill, and we are sad to see him go. So while Jay waits for a replacement,
there's the breakage.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, that did it. Oh, so I see. So I thought it was like the entire arm itself. Okay, so just
I got one of those really good like Sure ones, and that part of it was good, but the suspension head, and there's a part you don't know. When I was doing the fuel pod earlier, I used to have these rants, and man, I would grab that was part of the deal. That's part of the gimmick, and that thing would be shaking all over the place. So it's probably my fault, and then eventually it just gave out, and I came home from work, and my mic was laying on my desk.
Years of abuse finally caught up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, whenever I worked at the radio station, it was the suspension arms, and but of course they'd just be like, "Oh, it's fine, just tighten a couple of screws, whatever." And so you'd start on the air, and it would just slowly, kind of like, and then you just have to lift it up, or just follow it as it went down. Yeah. But anyway, we're gonna make do. It has been insane. We have 007 First Light. It released early for those that pre-ordered. Could play it on Tuesday. Released for everybody on Wednesday, yesterday. So we have gotten some hands-on there. Jay more so than myself, but we will talk about what we can. We've got a lot of little news stories. There's new Witcher 3 content that just got officially announced, which, I mean, that had been a rumor for a while. You brought it that was it last year that you first brought that? Or it's been a while since the rumors started bubbling up.
And it's still going to be a while more, but we'll get into that.
And we have some truly encouraging news from the why does it escape me? The Osiris Reborn, the Expanse. We've got some encouraging news from the Expanse game. Our voices matter, us the players. Our voices were heard, and as a result, other voices were
snuffed out.
Yeah, so,
and it was specifically this podcast so everybody can thank us. We are the driving,
obviously entirely on our shoulders. Yeah,
obviously. So anyway,
Well, I guess we might as well. Also, some movie stuff. We got Mandalorian and Grogu. We got some Obsession. We'll get into it, but I guess let's just open that way. We'll go ahead and open. We'll open with the news from The Expanse, Osiris Reborn.
Okay.
One of our most anticipated games. Obviously, 007 was our most anticipated game of 2026.
We need a new one, man.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to come up with a Q2 most game we're excited for, or whatever.
I feel like we shouldn't even do like years or like what once our most anticipated game comes out, then we
Just
need a
whatever the
new
next
most
one is.
anticipated. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, so this one is obviously it's up there. It's definitely up there
It's number one for me.
as a big one. So we played the beta, which you can still get in if you wanted to. If you wanted to pre-order it now, you can still go in. The beta's still
Yep.
open. It's going to be open for a good long while. They're giving people plenty of time to get in there, and they're getting feedback on gunplay and movement and physics and all this different stuff. What was that?
Camera.
Yeah. Yeah, they're taking all the feedback. So the first thing was, Jay and his ilk were displeased with the inability to turn your camera and control it the wrong way. And they changed
40%.
that. They changed that so that they could do that. You could invert the cameras. But then one of our biggest complaints, which was
Oh my
like the
God.
thing that jumped out to me immediately in the game and then jumped out
And-
to Jay immediately in the game.
I'm gonna tell you, this is even, for me. This was even worse than the camera,
Oh yeah,
which is saying a lot.
because it hits you before you even get a chance to control anybody. You don't even
Right.
like this is something that slaps you in the face before you even have a chance to take control of a character. And that is the voice acting. And our primary
You can call it
complaint
that.
was the male voice in particular. Now there are some issues with the female voices, and we'll get into that, and those are going to be addressed too. But the male voice just didn't work. That guy had no emotion, and basically they have said that voice actor was assigned to the wall. He and now
Fired.
yeah, he's gone. So he's gonna go off to live on a farm with other fired voice actors, and they're gonna hire somebody else to take over his position. The thing that did kind of shock me to a degree where I'm like, maybe he was more talented than I thought he was, because we had made the point, both of us, where you and your identical twin brother, you sound nothing alike, to the point that I thought it was a different voice actor. It wasn't. It was one voice actor, but for whatever reason, he
Wow.
decided to make it sound like two completely separate people. Like, it's not like, oh, this one's a little gruffer, this one's... It's like one guy had an accent, the other one didn't. Like, did you guys reconnect at like 24 years old or something after years apart? What happened?
Were you test tube twins? And
Yeah, like how did this work? So that guy has been given his walking papers. So they're going to get a new voice actor to play the role of the male hero, and then for the female hero, it sounds like they are going to keep the female voice actress, and she did great for the most part. But the big complaint, like you had, was the fact that she was the representation of the Belters. And obviously in the main game, I do wonder how they're going to do this, because in the main game, it's not just, my impression is that we're going to really get to pick everything. It's not just going to be like, oh, the woman's the Belter and the guy is this. Like, you should be able to, in theory, be a Belter and a male. So will they have to like record lines twice?
Here's my thing too. Maybe we were being a little harsh, and maybe they haven't had
We were
time
not.
yet to put these guys through like a Belter Creole boot camp. But they definitely need to go get with whoever worked on the television show that did the dialect coach and go through a class.
It was bad
For
I
sure.
mean, if you
Oh, it
watch our
was
video, if you watch our
non-existent.
video on it, I took a little sampling of when the female voice, which that was the Belter, was the female voice, and about her saying the thing, where a little bit of that Creole, and it was like reading like something off of a French menu or something like that, where like, yeah, those are the words, but it doesn't sound like you know what you're doing. Like me trying to learn Spanish. I'm trying to learn Spanish again, and I learned how bad I was pronouncing some things to the. There's a whole thing there, but yeah, it sounded like that. So that sounds like that's going to be sort of like retooled and things like that. And like I said, I wonder if you can be a belter regardless of your gender, then will they have to record it twice? Because like you're not going to be using the slang if you're not a belter, you wouldn't think. But if you are a belter, you're absolutely going to be using it. So that could be a big
Well,
deal.
word on the street is once the full game comes out, we're able to pick our gender and our background, including Martian. We haven't heard that yet, although obviously they'll sound just like regular humans. Um, but we're supposed to be able to pick any gender and then pick our background. So they're going to have to record multiple sets from multiple genders.
Yeah, well, so that's it. That's the good news. That's really all I had on that one. I just saw that and it was genuinely
That's a good story.
good news because yeah, that was the biggest or one of the biggest things that jumped out at us from there where it was negative, where it's like, yeah, they're doing good, very optimistic about everything, but we said it numerous times. We're like, we hope that's not the final version because that's rough. And apparently it was supposed to be. But okay, so they are resolving that. What story would you like to touch on next, Jay?
Well, since we're doing good news, I've got some really great news because I don't know how much of a fan you were of the movie School of Rock with Jack Black. But anyway, he's trying to get some funding and he talks about they all have this disease called stick it to demandiosis. And you know who else had that was Unknown Worlds, the people that developed Subnautica 2. So they were able to call Crafton this morning and say, we have been cured of our stick it to demandiosis and you now owe us $250 million. To speak real, Subnautica 2 has now sold 4 million copies. And now by court decree, Crafton will be forced to pay Unknown Worlds $250 million in incentive bonuses. And I think that is a great news story.
Yes. And it just even more poetic. And like we've said, it is entirely within the realm of possibility that had none of this ever gone down, that they would not even owe that money to them. Because it's entirely possible. Because it was only if they hit certain sales milestones while in early access. And it was popular as Subnautica for sure. But we don't know what those sales targets were. So it's entirely possible that people would have been like, "Oh yeah, I'll wait for it. I'll play the finished game, whatever." But Crafton, being just absolute dicks and just trying to be greedy and money hungry and backstabbing, what they did, that just like galvanized, not only did it galvanize player support, where people were like, as soon as this thing's available and as soon as I get paid, I'm supporting these guys. Like, we're getting these guys their money. Like, it's like bros.
Yeah, they probably helped the sales.
100% it helped the sales.
Yeah.
And then not only that, so you have this galvanized support of the players. And there's probably people that bought this game that never played the first Subnautica. They're just like, yeah, screw these guys, man, and just bought it just to do it. But then the other thing is that the whole point of them terminating the founders of the Unknown Worlds was to disqualify them from from this the potential of getting this bonus. Then going through the court system, the judge not only forced them to be hired back, but also extended the deadline. Not only that, they didn't just extend the deadline. If they wanted it to, could have extended to next year. So the whole thing was they needed to put it out by last year, the end of last year. And then they ended up getting like over another year of additional time if they so needed. So yeah, I think it's entirely possible that had they not done this, they wouldn't have even had to have paid it out. It could have been a slow trickle, whatever, and become a hit later. But nope, they galvanized it. People banded together. And we got some brand new millionaires, brand new multi-millionaires among us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Like, I
congrats
mean,
to them.
I have installed it, but I have from my because it's available in Family Share on Steam, and Jason got it. But man, he has put in some serious hours. Him and his buddies already playing it, and he's like, "Dad, it is so much better than the first one." And he's saying that with an abbreviated tool set and an abbreviated map right now because it's still early access. So I can only imagine what this is going to be like when it hits 1.0.
And
Especially if they've already sold 4 million copies. I don't, that's insane to me. Those are Crimson Desert numbers, dude.
I mean, and not to mention, it's an indie game. This is not a big studio.
Yeah.
This is not a triple A, big studio or anything like that. And I think Izzy's probably gonna be wanting to get it too. He hadn't asked yet, but he's like, hey, he's been talking about it.
Did he play
a
the
lot.
first one?
He did play the first one.
And here's my thing with that. And you just said it. You said this is not a big studio. That first one is just as full featured as any big ticket survival game. So hats off to them because they have created a true masterpiece of underwater survival.
And the founders, they got rewarded for it. I'm glad that they got it. They created something really cool. They materialized their imagination into this. So yeah, good on them. And yeah, enjoy your retirement, fellas. But yeah, so there was that. I guess we can talk about well, it'll be your first slide that you got down there. Let's go ahead and talk Witcher 3. Just announced, we've got the long rumored, and they have also been very specific about this. They have corrected people and they said it is not DLC.
Not DLC, yeah.
It is an expansion. And here it says on this graphic, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt expansion pack, Songs of the Past. So they are clearly prepping people to be like, this is not some new armor sets and a couple of missions. Like, prepare for some real, like, we're talking probably at least double digit hours of gameplay.
Yeah, and I've already, and we're not expecting to see this thing this year, but anytime I think expansion over DLC, I'm thinking at least, especially with The Witcher, probably 10 to 15 hours.
Exactly, that was
especially
exactly what I was thinking.
If you played the other two, especially Blood and Wine, man, that thing went for days. I couldn't believe how big that one was. And
also a new map.
Yeah. They're talking about, and it's funny how many people don't know the Witcher lore. And they're like, hey, they're talking about this might be in some type of desert setting. And if you're a Witcher person, that's Zerrikania. That's the only desert biome on the continent, which is a whole plethora of new monsters and people. The weird thing I thought, and it's not weird, I guess, and specifically for PC players, is that it will change the system requirements. So this expansion is a buff up, and it makes me wonder if they're going to utilize on console, specifically the PS5 Pro, if they're going to use the PSSR technology, which I'm sure they will. So this will probably be a glow up for the PlayStation version if you're on the Pro for sure.
Which already looks great.
Yeah, so if I'm getting, and this game is old, man, and
11 years old.
DLSS wasn't even a thing, so I'm sure they're adding DLSS 4.5 at the very least, if not 5. Frame gen, ray tracing, and ray tracing came out with the big update when they did the special edition. So all that new stuff, it's going to change. So folks, if you're on PC, make sure when they do release those system requirements, give it a check before you install it. But it's obviously going to be beefy, dude, if they're putting this much work into it.
Yeah, I'm very curious. As to what we're going to get. And it just blows my mind. I mean, we know that they've been working on The Witcher 4. We know they're working on the follow-up to Cyberpunk. And I believe they're even saying that there's a third unannounced project in development as well there. at least, and then still found time to complete an entire expansion. I have no idea how long they've been working on this. But like we
Yeah.
said, this is an 11-year-old game. This does not happen often. To release this massive expansion while in active development on the sequel to this game, it's almost unheard of, and it would be crazy if it wasn't CD Projekt Red.
Yeah, and what I find weird about this photo, this kind of placeholder photo they've done, is he's already got 2 swords on his back and he's got a third one in his hand.
Which they did say that
not
it is
to get
a
not to get nitpicky, but I'm just saying.
no. They have actually called attention to it themselves. They
Oh,
are
okay.
they are. There's been a lot of like hints dropped in various places, and they just said because that exact point had been brought up, and their response was, "Well, it's a very special sword."
Okay, so I don't know what kind of Witcher player you were, and this is obviously not a school silver sword, not a school-based one, but I was a straight crafting school-based weapons and armor because there was once you completed them, there was just nothing better. I don't know if you carried a lot of what I call in the world weapons. Did you, or were you a school guy as well?
What like did I just pick up random weapons and use those?
Yes.
No, I crafted my weapons from blueprints and all that stuff. Like, yeah, I wasn't
Sweet.
gonna swing a sword that I picked up from some bum. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a better one.
Yeah, and I
I'll
ended
sell
up
that sword.
I got master crafted Ursine and Wolf School armor, and I loved them both. And I had a hard time always choosing between the two, but yeah, I never carried. And some of them look cool, but I was like, man, if I'm carrying a weapon, it's going to be one of the ones from the school. So anyway, this obviously is a silver sword, considering how the cross guard looks. But that's interesting, man. I would have never thought that. I just thought they screwed up on the picture.
Yeah, no, they said that nope, well, it is a very special sword. So we will see what that means, what they have up their sleeves, what all they've been doing, and what it means for. And obviously, I have to assume that they will use this to roll into the Witcher 4, and then also songs of the past. Like, so we're clearly are we gonna like is this gonna be a prequel, or is it gonna be a little bit of jumping forward and back? Like, how are we gonna
So
work this?
what would be cool, and again, this is wild out of my ass speculation, but I think you'll agree with me here. What would be cool is if they're all just sitting in the pub and Dandelion is like, let me tell you the story of Geralt and the Leshen Wraith Hag mix that we've got here behind him. And then it does a flashback sequence and you're in it. That would be freaking I would love that, man. I love those kind of stories. Where they're just sitting around a table talking of deeds done good and brave, and somebody goes, "Let me tell you a story," and it, blah, 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 and then you're back in that world. So
I mean, that's how
that
a
would
lot
be
of
a
the
cool way
Witcher
to do
books
it.
are,
Yeah,
where it's just kind of
absolutely.
it's a collection of it's sort of a an anthology of the Witcher's outings.
Correct. So yeah. Anyway, man, super looking forward to it. And oh crap, what happened there? There we go. And yeah, I just it's probably going to be mid 2027 at best, I would guess.
I don't know. Yeah, and what I had seen, they didn't give any indication whatsoever. Like, no, I didn't
Yeah.
see any hints about release dates or anything like that. So yeah, we'll have to see. Uh, I don't know, man. It, I I don't know. I don't know what I want. I don't know if I would rather them let us know now and then we get it later, or if I would have just loved it if they would have just shadow dropped it. Because
How cool
it,
would that have been?
dude, that would have been unreal, unreal. But it's one of those things where now, I mean, you've got to push it to next year almost. Like, if you're not going to drop it in the next couple of months, you got to wait till next year because GTA 6.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
but the
it's
good
gonna be the
news
dog that eats
is
everybody's lunch.
they're not a full game, so hopefully they're not worried too much about the GTA 6 stuff. Or I would think, or at least I would hope. Plus, you're talking about an expansion at what, $20 maybe? I doubt it'll be that much more than $20. CD Projekt Red's always been good with their
Well,
pricing.
how much was Phantom Liberty? Was it was like
29.
40. What, it was
Oh,
29?
yeah, $29.99 is what I got it for.
I was thinking it was like around 40. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I also the fact that it's for an older game, you would think that they'll be pretty good. Uh
Yeah.
and you know, this is another thing where it's like, you know, the Phantom Liberty had to unbreak Cyberpunk. There's a lot of Cyberpunk that need to be repaired where that didn't need to happen in The Witcher. You know, they don't have to worry
Yeah.
about fixing things that are going wrong. They had a polished game, and this is just going to be on top of that polish. So we will see. But yeah, that was very, very surprising news. I had actually begun to think that those were just rumors. You know, because they
Yeah.
were floating around. They were kind of unsubstantiated. We hadn't really gotten any solid proof. So I was like, it's probably not going to happen. And then lo and behold, CD Projekt Red.
Yeah, it makes me think that they'll probably give us more Cyberpunk stuff as well. You know, just for the heck of it.
I would certainly not be opposed to that. You know,
Yeah.
again, we know they're working on it, so I would love to see it. I would love to see it. So what else you got coming up next?
Well, as you know, I've been playing Forza Horizon 6, and we can just leave this exactly like this because it kind of distorts when it blows out any more than this. And they released a slide today called By the Numbers, and I thought some of it was cool.
Those are some big numbers.
Yeah, so 141 million collective hours played, 35 trillion credits earned. One thing that stood out to me because I'm a livery guy is they've already created over 63 million liveries for cars. Another thing that surprised me because they have these side missions where you're basically a DoorDash driver called Raku Raku, and apparently people have completed 19 million deliveries for Raku Raku. I have done one. So there we are with that. And then 184 million photos taken.
Which is crazy because I know that there are people that love photo mode. I, for one, never, ever use photo mode. Ever.
Dude, there's some sites in this game. I had a site where there was like a Japanese torii gate in the water, just in shallow water. And I parked the car in shallow water on the beach. And in the frame, so I have my white collector's edition Ferrari J50 with the torii gate on the left, and behind the car was Mount Fujiyama. So awesome. Just a really awesome photo, and showcased kind of the graphics and this display capabilities in the game. So, but again, everybody's loving the game. There is one point of contention though. So if you know anything about Forza Horizon, you have drivatars that are driving around. So let's say you had the game and you logged out, whatever car you were last in would be still driving around the map, and I would see, you know, Mason driving around. But they also have AI.
You know
ones.
that it's not me? Does it let you know, like, hey, this is
no, it doesn't.
Mace?
No, it does not. But they do have AI ones, and for some reason they created a drivatar named Bowie Knife 99. And if you get on TikTok and search up Bowie Knife 99, there are literally hundreds of thousands of videos about this. This guy is a toxic AI drivatar. You'll be in the middle of a race, and he'll come out of nowhere and ram your ass off the road.
Well, as a Southerner, I do feel the need to correct you and say that would actually be Bowie Knife.
As a not Southerner, I would correct you and have to say that is a Bowie knife.
as for Jim Bowie, the namesake of the Bowie knife.
Yeah, as a close to Texan, I'm sure yours is correct, and we just pronounced it wrong our whole lives. But I didn't live out here, so Bowie knife it is for now. But yeah, this guy Bowie Knife 99. You got to look up some social media on this guy, who doesn't exist, by the way, but he will screw up whatever you're trying to do. He will show up out of nowhere and screw. And now there's a whole dedicated community on social media posting videos of them searching him out in the world and fucking his world up.
So does this guy, obviously, again, this is AI. So the world's first AI heel, right?
Yes.
So, is there like one instance of him? Or
yes,
so it's like wherever he is, that's where he is for everybody in that moment in time. There is one him.
Yes,
and you can
except
put
when you're in
hit
a
out on 'em.
race. If you're in a race, because a race is kind of a lockdown, you're not really in the social hub once you're in a race. So he could show up in multiple races, and he will. Like if I'm racing a race and you're racing a different one, and somebody else is doing drift on the mountain, he could be in all three locations. But as far as just out in the I'm just out driving around causing trouble. Yeah, there's Bowie Knife 99 will be out there somewhere.
You know what this sounds like it needs? Sounds
What?
like it needs a little nemesis system, little special sprinkling of nemesis system in it.
Well, he's everybody's nemesis, dude. There's been people, especially people, trying to get that perfect drift down the mountain from Tokyo Drift, and they'll be in the middle of the best drift of their life, and that bastard will come out of the wood line, whoo, bam, knock him right off the mountain. So yeah,
Well, if I ever play, I'll have to keep my eye out for old Bowie Knife. There is one stat here that I am curious about. I think
Okay.
just judging by the image, I think I know what this is. I did not know this is what they were called because you had addressed this a little bit. But it
Okay.
says 379,097,880 mascots bashed. So
Yeah.
you talked about where there'd be things where it's like ramen noodles or something like
Yes.
that you'd. So those are what they're calling mascots.
Yes.
Okay.
And the thing is, when you're just driving around,
I was
you can
I was
see 'em on their-
expecting somebody with legs whenever I saw mascots
Oh.
down there. I'm like, are we just mowing people down?
They don't even like. There'll be a little icon on your map when there's one around you, so it's not like they're hidden or secret. Getting to some of them sometimes can be difficult, but yeah, and it's a bowl of ramen or a sushi roll, or I forgot what that ice cream is called that they make. That's really good. I always forget the name of that stuff,
Is it
but
mochi?
yes, those, and then there's soup, and then there's tons of them, and just running into them, and you get like XP or money or something like that. But every time I see one, I try to go ahead and knock it off the board so that I can get it out of the way. But I got to be responsible for at least 300 or 400 of those, so I'm pretty
Well,
happy about my number in that one.
So these mascots are like the Mr. Meeseeks on Rick and Morty, where life is pain. You're doing them a service by putting them out of their misery.
Gotcha. Yes. But the last but not least stat before we get rid of this slide, 20 billion miles driven. And that is
wonder
insane.
how many legit miles of road are on like Japan? Like I wonder how many more miles driven in game there are that even exist in Japan.
I don't know. That'd be a good find out how many actual miles of road network there are on the country, but that'd be crazy to find out. I'm sure you could Google it and find it out.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do a quick Google search. Like, yeah, you just go ahead and vamp real quick.
To be fair, this is not a 1-to-1 representation of Japan because
I know.
It's kind of a microcosm. And I know I'm talking just to anybody that ends up watching this, but it's a microcosm of all the different types of biomes. And they do have 1-for-1 copies of like popular landmarks and places. What is it? It's less than how many miles we've driven?
Significantly so. If you were to take a guess at how many miles of road in existence,
all the islands
in the entirety of Japan, how many miles would you say?
1.5 million.
800,000.
Okay, I wasn't that crazy far off, but
it's so much smaller than I would have expected.
Oh my god!
So we have driven so many more miles than
Yes.
actually even exist in the entire country of Japan.
That's insane. So anyway, yeah, the game is obviously wickedly popular. If you have a chance to play it, and folks, I know we have probably a lot of PlayStation people that catch our show or catch Mason's shorts that he does so wonderfully. That and I know it sucks right now.
Is it not on PlayStation yet?
It's not on PlayStation yet. And to be fair, it was 2 years before 5 came to PlayStation, and they're talking about it's going to be nowhere near that for 6. So they're already had a pretty decent solution on getting that one out the door. But it sucks right now for them, and I get that. But it is an absolutely wonderful game. If you have Game Pass, there's no reason not to be playing it since you get it for free with your Game Pass.
Okay. The
Was that a hit on it's technically not free?
No.
Oh.
You missed a letter on one of those passes, but it just caught me off guard. So but we know that it is for sure coming out on PlayStation 5, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I didn't know, because we obviously had that recent shakeup of leadership over at Xbox, and I didn't know because they've already pulled back on some of those kind of initiatives that they were all gung ho about, 12 months ago. So I didn't know if that had been one of the things to fall, but it sounds like they're still going to do it. So that's good. That's good. I mean, obviously a great racing game, which not a lot of out there. You don't get a lot of racing games. And then
even the sim racing community, which is usually so purist that they hate arcade-ish racing games, they're absolutely behind it. And they're like, the racing world needs games like Forza Horizon 6 to exist, because those type of games make people get into racing and make people get into hardcore racing.
Yeah, well, there are 3 race. Let's not to start a thing, but
here we go.
There's 3 franchises that immediately come to mind in my head, racing franchises that I grew up adoring, and they don't exist anymore. And I want them back. One of them I think we've talked about before, and I'll save that one for the last one. But first one that comes to mind is is it Midnight Club? Midnight Club was so good. Looked incredible for its time. I don't know what I'd have to see it now. In my head, it looked like, Forza Horizon 6. Yeah. But you could tweak it to, like, you had all these visually customizable aspects of it, but it still controlled largely arcadey. You had NOS and all that stuff, but man, I don't know what happened to that, but it was so good.
Yeah, and it was a Rockstar game. So I don't know, maybe they just decided to, kind of centralize down and just work with the 2 properties that they had. But Midnight Club 3 was 5. Midnight Club 3 was one of the most fantastic arcade racing titles that ever existed.
Yeah, so, loved it.
Yeah,
Chase That Dragon. I'd love to see another one. Then there was another one that the first one was still my favorite. Then they did a second one that was pretty good, and the third one was just completely off the rails. And I don't think they did anything from that again. And that was a little old game called Jet Moto. Did you ever play that?
Love Jet Moto, dude.
Yeah,
dude, with the hover jet skis.
Yeah, it was like some futuristic, super souped up jet skis. Man, I love that so much. And then the first one, you weren't even supposed to do tricks, but you could force your thing to do backflips and barrel rolls and whatever. And then so they incorporated that into the second one, and it didn't feel as fun.
Can I insert another game that came out around the same time as Jet
Moto?
The whole point. Hydro Thunder.
Yes,
the speedboat
was
game.
Good.
The map.
Also, any bowling alley you went to, there was a Hydro Thunder machine.
Yeah, Hydro Thunder was one of my favorite ones, man. Anyway, I'll let you do your big one.
Oh no, the other one, which I think we've talked about it before, but I would still love to see it. I think it would. I think it's a niche that we're longing for, and that's Road Rash, man. I miss Road Rash.
There's a lot of people that do, man. Road Rash and MotorStorm are 2 of the most requested remakes of all time.
And for those that especially the Zoomers out there that they were born after Road Rash even existed, and there's not been anything to replace it. It's basically a motorcycle racing game where you beat the shit out of your opponents. You got to carry crowbars and baseball bats and chains, and you would just vehicular manslaughter as you drove by, and it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, I love vehicle combat games, man. Like Wipeout, loved Wipeout. Motor
Even Twisted
Storm was
Metal,
another
where
one.
they, there wasn't a
Twisted
racing
Metal.
aspect, but there was the car combat.
Oh yeah, Twisted Metal Black is probably still one of my favorite games of all
That's
time.
peak. Twisted Metal
Yeah.
Black and Twisted Metal 2. Those were the ones
Yeah.
that nailed it. They've tried to do different things again, and for what there's something about that formula that
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is. I don't know what it is that you have to do to make it hit right. But those are the only two times that it really hit. And
Yeah.
especially after Twisted Metal Black, it feels like they wanted to kind of pull away and kind of like take some of that darker aspect away from it. And I don't know, it just didn't work.
And it was the dark aspect that made it, dude. When you fired up Twisted Metal Black and it's playing Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones, you said it best. That was peak. I was like, wow, this is perfect.
And when it's not playing the Stones, it's playing Rob Zombie.
Yeah, or Rob Zombie. Yeah, so
Dracula.
perfect game. Anyway, that was all I had on Forza.
All right, I don't have anything else on that one. But I am very curious. I think of this other thing that you've got waiting in the wings here that I've seen since we hopped on prior to the show.
So, in addition to my roles as part of this podcast and the other podcast, and being just an avid gamer and a dad, I'm also a veteran dungeon master, and we've got this that right now is currently a Kickstarter. But before people go, oh, it's a Kickstarter. This is made by Arcane Asylum, who makes some of the best tabletop RPGs on the planet.
For those who may be listening, this is Tom Clancy's The Division, the official role-playing game.
Yes, and it is in Kickstarter right now. It has been since mid-April. You can pay into the fund. They'll go ahead and send you the starter kit.
Oh wow!
Which comes with an abbreviated rules, like a rule sheet, and then your background card or player sheets for whoever. So there's four classes you can be at the beginning, and I'm pulling those up now. Just give me.
I was about to say, you look like you just opened up the briefcase in Pulp Fiction.
Hold on just a second. So you can be a gunner, a medic, a negotiator, or a tactician, and they're talking about adding extra classes later. And I'm sure any DM would be able to. They're calling them coordinators, not DMs, but any coordinator could probably like kit bash a class for you, I'm sure.
I mean, I find myself immediately curious about this because it's obviously not a direct one-to-one with the game. Like, there's no negotiator role in the game, and that one, whenever you read through those, that immediately caught my attention. Like, that sounds pretty cool. Get to play the role of negotiator.
So I read through the press release, and with the negotiator, when you go into these settlements, like we usually in the game, we just walk into a settlement. Hey, welcome to the settlement. You've got to earn your way into the settlements on this role-playing game. You don't just get free access. It's like
they don't just open the gates and high five you on your way in.
It's like, hey man, you're not coming in here. We've got 3 things you need to do before we'll let you in here. So I'm sure you'll have to go out on like a mini side quest and go do those things and then come in, and then you're going to have to invest in that place. So a negotiator would come in very handy. How many bottles of water? Yeah. So, and build up the defenses or whatnot. And I'm sure that'll work into a lot of the other classes that you have available. But what I also thought cool is, the Division, each type of operator has different gadgets that they use. So those are available in this game. So if you want to throw out an automated turret or a seeker mine that goes around and heals all your buddies, and those are available. They've already got 2 pretty thick ass books, dude, for the one for the coordinator, which is basically like a dungeon master guide, and one for the player guide. So it's looking pretty good. They've already developed minis.
Ooh, nice.
Which I'm sure you could also just go on Etsy and probably search, military operator mini and probably find something that you might want that's not official. But still, man, I think it's in a really cool place right now. There's already a lot of people subscribe to it on the Kickstarter campaign. And, things like this are kind of near and dear to me, man, because my gaming world started with the tabletop.
Well, I enjoy board games, tabletop games. I love The Division.
Yeah.
And so for those listening, I went ahead and blew up this still that Jay had brought up, and I noticed something that I did not notice whenever it was shrunk down here, and that is that the box, this sample box at the top or above the title, says Season 1. So
Yeah.
clearly they are planning to support it via like expansions and additional content, things like that, and more packs and things that you can get. So that's super cool too.
I also like it that you can see here that they've obviously got Ubisoft's backing, which is also cool. So I mean, it's being built to compete. So it's something I'm going to look into. I'm going to see what the subscriber goal is for you to get sent the starter kit and at least look through it. So I think that'll be neat.
Maybe we'd break in the new house here and do a game night with it or something.
There you go. Absolutely.
Well, I don't believe I have any more game news before the biggie. Do you?
Yeah, I forgot we have not done our biggie.
We have not done the biggie. So
damn it. I'm
so
hungry. Okay.
Guys, as we talked about at the start of the show, our most anticipated game of 2026 was 007 First Light by IO Interactive, and it released, and it is now available, and we have gotten our chance to get some early impressions of it.
Yes, we have, and I am about 10 hours in.
Wow,
give or take, and I am in a country called Mauritania, and that is all I'm going to say about that because Mason is not in the same place.
I have,
but
not
I
gotten
do
10 hours in.
I do feel like I can go through some of the components that you typically see in a review, and go through those, and then once I get to a category, I'll go through mine, and then you can tell me what you think so far just on what you've played. First off, I want to say the presentation on this game, just in general, is world class, and you can tell it comes from IOI. IOI prides themselves on being sharpened and polished, and this game is definitely that from the word go. I felt I was a little miffed that when they slid the gun barrel across the screen at the beginning, they didn't actually fire up the music. And then part of me was like, I haven't earned my number. I don't deserve the music. So that's how I reconciled that in my brain, although I'm still a little miffed about it.
I also do want to point out that speaking of the intro, Jay and I, before we started the show, we were talking about which we talked about last week too, this sort of like fake outrage, this uproar where people were recycling this quote that we had talked about months ago from one of the developers, that for which English is a second language by chance, or just to point out. But he mentioned that James Bond was a modern guy, and people are like, there it is, it's gone woke, we're canceling our pre-orders, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, these are the guys that make Hitman, So for those that were concerned that James Bond was going to have all of his edges rounded and softened, and he wasn't going to be a womanizer or this or that, it is very clear, very quickly that he is the same old Bond. The intro sequence has silhouetted ladies going out. So yeah, there you go. If that was the thing that was going to push you over the edge, it's still there.
Yeah, he's definitely still James Bond. I will say, in case you don't know, or you've been living in a cave or under a rock, this is not the wise veteran James Bond. This is a 26-year-old kid who starts this story out not even in MI6. It is, at best, it's an origin story. And I don't want to ruin it for anybody. The first mission is basically how you get recruited. And it is fantastic. There's a lot of elements of some Uncharted, some Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. There's a lot of stuff there. And it is like movie. If this were a movie, I'd go see it for sure. but it is a movie quality opening scene. Sorry, go ahead. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, I was just gonna say that. Speaking of
Yeah,
what you said, like that first mission, it is really interesting. I really appreciated how little they actually. I thought they'd given us more details than they actually had, and so whenever I
yeah,
played this first mission, I didn't know. Like, there's a whole thing where it's like, oh, you got to find something. I didn't know what we were looking for. There's a lot of stuff that happens. I'm like, I don't know where this is going. Like, it's, stuff that's happening. There's
yeah,
some stuff. I'm like, and and Bond is even throwing out some crazy guesses. Like, am I looking for this? Is this what's happening? And
yeah.
like, just shut up and go. And I was thinking the same. I'm like, how wild are we getting here?
Yeah, and I got to tell you, yeah, I got scared, and I think we're talking about the exact same line when he said, "What am I looking for here?
Yes.
Is it
Yes.
blank?" And I
And
went,
I was like,
"Oh,
is it?
shit!"
Like,
Because that place we went to, I was like, "Holy shit, this is very X Files."
that's what happens. That's what happens whenever that goes on.
If this was Mulder, this is exactly what it would be.
Yeah. Is the truth down there? Is that what?
Yes. Speaking of which, side tangent, we definitely need a new X Files game. Anyway, so the story, and anybody that's familiar with Bond, Ian Fleming's Bond in the books, he was in the Navy. In fact, even in MI6, he holds the naval rank of commander still. And so it kind of plays into that whole bit of how he got out of the Navy and got into doing what he was doing. Characters, all the characters that you know and love from the entire series, you pretty much meet Q and M and some new people too. And so even some of the little ancillary characters that nobody remembers, like Ronson. Ronson's like the Biggs and Wedge of every Bond movie. And then I haven't met Tanner yet. I'm hoping we run into a Tanner. He's one of my favorite characters. But so all the characters I feel like are very well fleshed out. Even definitely Q. Q is
So I
smart as a
loved
whip.
Q from that first conversation. I loved the way that they're playing Q
Yeah.
off, like, as this guy that's obviously, that's the whole point. He's incredibly smart and inventive, but he's also what's the best way to put it? He is endearingly arrogant.
Yes, as
Like
all Qs are.
yeah, it was really well done. This thing where he's like, "Hey, pick a watch," and Bond's like, "I have a watch." He's like, "Oh, let me see it," and then he gets it and he just throws it in a trash can. He's like, "Now you get a
I
new
thought he was
one."
gonna drop it on the table and like smash it,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
the trash can was much better. And then he
I will
used that
say the
line.
only.
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say the
No, I
only
was
thing
gonna.
there is, like, whenever you pick your watch, because you do pick a watch that you will have throughout the rest of the game.
Right.
But the crazy thing is, the only thing that differentiates the watch is the color of the wristband, and you don't get to see the wristbands in the display. You see the wristband like peeking out a little bit, and you'll see the names that it delegates to them. So it'll be like, oh, this one's snow gray or whatever, but you don't actually get to see it. So you pick it and then you put it on. But I picked the green one because green's my favorite color. So
Mother
all worked out.
effer, dude. I picked the green one. Emerald green.
Great
To me,
minds.
it looked like British racing green, so that's why I went with it. But anyway, yeah, and I love he used the Q line that every single Q that's ever lived. He's like, here's your watch, here's your dart phone, here's this, and as always, James, please bring all of the equipment back in working order, kind of thing. So thought that was pretty cool. I haven't got to do the tax sim missions with Dr. Selena Tan, which are all these kind of like sub story stuff that you can do and challenges. But as far as characters go, and I wanted to stop at characters, I love all of them so far. I think they all do a great job at being Bond level characters. The next category I wanted to bring up was visuals, graphics and visuals, because we're both playing on systems that it was pretty much set up for. I know the PS5 Pro is making use of the new PSSR technology, and I wanted to get your take on it before I did the PC ones.
So far, I have no complaints. Again, I've played far less than Jay. I probably could have gotten a lot farther had I not spent so much time in QLab looking in every corner, trying to annoy every scientist that was there. I blinded many nerds throughout my time walking through QLab. But what I've seen has been pretty great. There's some pretty, I mean, big set pieces right from jump in that game,
Yeah.
and I haven't personally experienced any frame issues or anything like that. No screen tear. Like everything looks good so far. It could change. Again, I'm very
Yeah.
early in, but so far it looks great. And to your point, as far as characters go, characters so far are great. Moneypenny, everybody's looks great, doing great, and the new guy, I can't with that actor that we are talking about before. That's a new
Greenway.
Greenway. I don't try that dude. And of course, every story has to has the guy that hates you. You know.
Yeah.
And he does it really well. He does it really, really well.
Yeah, he excels at that for sure. I even like the old Biddy M's secretary,
Yeah.
Ponsonby.
Yeah.
And then every time after that he walks through there, he's like, Ponsonby. Ponsonby.
I do
Don't
like
you have
that
somewhere to be, James?
I do like that he, like, whenever he first shows up before they offer him the job, he's like trying to make small talk with her, and he's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
so what does M stand for?" And she just like won't give me anything. He walks in, does his thing, he walks out, and he's like, "Well, now I know what M stands for." And she's like, "No, you don't." He's like, "No, I don't." Like, continues to
Ponsonby.
look-
Yeah, so and obviously eventually Moneypenny ends up in that role when she gets older. But that's beside the point. So graphics PC wise, I'm running an ultra wide, so I'm doing 3440 by 1440. Guys, I got to tell you, I'm running everything as high as I can get it, and I'm getting about 83 frames per second, with a low end being 75 to 76. So loving it, and that's right where I want it to be. I could drop it down to high and probably still experience really awesome fidelity and get 90 to 100, but I'm not. I love how beautiful this game is. Especially where I'm at in the game really showcases the visuals right now. So pretty solid and happy with what I've got.
There is one part, and I imagine this is kind of one of those set piece moments as well. But it's like, it's one of the things where it's like, it just kind of bothered me a little bit. I guess it depends on which era of Bond you kind of
Yeah.
resonate towards or speaks to you. And there is, we'll call it a team building experience that happens where you essentially lay waste to an entire coast. And but everybody's like totally cool at the end of it. Everybody's just fine. And I'm like, dude, there would be so many casualties if this was to have actually happened.
Yeah.
That was one part where I was like, that was a little over the top for me. But it was still fun. But yeah, everything held up well as far as frame rates and all that stuff for myself. And I do want to point out one other thing before we move on too far, also about the first mission, just to backtrack a little bit. And I do want to say that the Uncharted vibes happen very early on, because literally in the first mission where you essentially are you're crashed and you wash up on shore, that is the very first moment that you take full control of James Bond, and it points you off looking down this beach with rocks on this side, rocks on that side, and very clearly telling you to go forward. And in true Uncharted fashion, I went, okay, and like turned around and walked behind the camera to see what was going on back there. Like, hey, are there any collectibles? What? There's not, by the way. You can walk forward. It's fine. But yeah, I found myself wanting to, like, oh, I don't think I'm supposed to go over there. Let's go there and see if there's something to collect. Usually there's not, but it definitely feels very much like Uncharted 3. Uncharted in general.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, it felt like the collectibles, it's almost your fault if you miss them. They're almost always on the way to wherever you're going. There's almost no need for, going off on a side trip.
And there's a glowing circle above them.
Yes.
Like,
which,
I mean, you'll see that. Yeah. It'll be like, hey, you over here.
Yeah. In true British fashion, it's like, yo. But, I did read some people that, and I'll talk about other reviews that I've read here in a minute, but saying giving it a hit for it doesn't have Hitman's replayability. And while that may be true as far as having 70 different ways to complete a mission, I still feel like I want to try it again and just go through full Rambo, just be the asshole Bond that beats everybody up and does everything with violence, and then try a complete like stealth run where like I would just restart if I even, it's got to be, that. So I kind of disagree with that. Plus with the tax sim, I really feel like the replayability is high. I mean, and it's still too early to tell, obviously. But that was most of the reviewers that I read. That was the knock that they gave the game. And I don't know how you feel just in the time you've played, what you feel like it's going to be from a replayability standpoint. But
I definitely think it's there. I mean, it's not going to be as insane as Hitman, where there's literally like 4 or 5 completely separate ways to go at somebody. Because like we've said before, in Hitman, they drop you on the map and they say, kill that guy. They don't say, you got to kill him while he's in his bedroom. You got to kill him while he's in the pool. You got to wait until he, takes a drive across the island and is over here. They just say, kill him. And so that opens up an entire, like, there are sort of ways that they have that you can go and do it this way, or this way. And then they have ways where you can just figure it out yourself and do it successfully. That are ways that they don't have blocked out for you, in these sequences. So it's incredibly open. So this is not that level of openness. There are multiple story points. So like, okay, you're going to go here. There's going to be a little bit of an open spot, but it's going to result in you ending up here. And then you're going to do a thing, and then it'll open up again, and you'll do a little thing. And then, so it's much more cordoned off as far as that goes, but you still have multiple paths within those moments of freedom. Do you want to crawl through a window? Do you want to bluff your way through a door? Do you need to distract somebody to get through it? There's still these different ways to accomplish these much smaller contained steps to this mission. So I think it's there. I think that anybody that expected it to be Hitman, because they said from day one, it's not Hitman in a tuxedo. Right. It's going to be something else. They're going to use that DNA, but they're going to involve something. It's going to be its own thing, and which is good. That's what you and I had both said. That's what we expected. That's what we wanted. Where we want the things that we want the things that Hitman mastered to bleed over into James Bond and influence it. And then as they do their own James Bond things, we want the things that they master there to then come and bleed over into Hitman. So that's what I want. I want like the shooting mechanics and the driving mechanics that are brand new to IOI. I want to see those in Hitman, because we've said before, if you have to use your gun in Hitman, you've already screwed up. You've lost. So I think the replayability is there. It's not to the degree of Hitman. You're not going to be doing all these crazy challenges on these levels, but like you said, you hadn't done the tax sim thing. I haven't either. I don't know what level of openness those are going to offer. So they could offer that Hitman level like freedom that we're kind of used to, and certainly they could also do expansions like we kind of expect them to do with more famous scenarios and things like that. They could definitely do that there. So I think there is replayability, and I think that they have places where they could do true Hitman style James Bond missions.
Okay. Well, I will say this. The game has already done well. 1.5 million copies sold as of 3 p.m. today. Review-wise, IGN gave it a 9.
I was shocked to see this.
I was shocked as well. GameSpot gave it an 8. GameStop gave it an 8. GameSpot, sorry, not GameStop. Duh. Metacritic right now, as far as Metacritic, it's setting an 87.
Yeah, GameStop.
But the Metacritic user rating is an 8.9 out of 10. And on Steam right now with 6,881 reviews, it's setting at very positive. which are all good indications that this game is doing well, I think. The only bad review I read, and I cannot believe it, because they usually are horrible shills. Kotaku
Oh,
does
I would expect them to be.
they did not like this game, or
No
they said it's
surprise.
okay. It's passable as a Bond game. They said it was too like much like a movie and less like a game. So I was kind of shocked reading the review.
Didn't they just fawn all over themselves for that what's that game that the mixtape? Weren't they just falling all over themselves
Yes.
over mixtape?
Yes,
Where
went
where
crazy
it's
for mixtape.
yeah. So yeah, Kotaku. As much of a joke as IGN is, Kotaku's so much worse.
Yeah,
I mean, let's be real.
yeah, they always have been, but still. And then also, they've already alluded apparently, and I'm not there, but to new content coming in the next couple of weeks, I guess. Something called there's an ad at the end of a tax sim challenge called Valhalla Protocol, and if you're familiar with Aston Martin, they have a hypercar called the Valhalla, and there apparently are some driving challenges in the tax sim, and so looks like they're going to be adding a Valhalla tax sim challenge, driving challenge.
That is certainly
So,
interesting.
yeah, so we're already talking about additional content, which I think is promising.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that, especially if it sounds like they're going to be doing it like quickly, where they're going to come out the gate with this and be like, "All right, well, now here you go." So, I haven't gotten a ton of experience with their driving, and it's not. This is not going to
You're
be
going to.
yeah. But speaking of Midnight Club and all of that, this is not going to be the second coming of Midnight Club. This is
No.
their first driving experience, but I was still impressed with how well it worked for it to be their first outing with driving for a game where driving is not the central focus, no less.
Correct. And I've done 3 major driving sequences now. And granted, I'm a little biased because I'm a motorsport guy and I love racing games, but it's a passable driving. I know some people are actually ripping from a user standpoint on the driving mechanics. They're like, it's too twitchy. And I don't think it is. I think it's exactly where it needs to be. I wish I hadn't beat to death that beautiful yellow Aston Martin in that one sequence from the watch along that we did of that demo, the tech demo that they did. Right from the get go, I missed it, and that was my fault. I missed the turn and I hit a brick wall, and that brings up a solid point. There is visible damage on these vehicles if you do not drive them well. It doesn't affect the performance, at least from what I could tell. It'll break your heart a little bit, especially if it's a really nice car
Bring a tear to
that
your
they
eye.
only made 3,500 of. So yeah, that pissed me off. The rest of my sequence went great, but that first little turn that I just missed, and I was like, what the shit? I'm gonna have to redo this. So anyway, love it. Just want to say one more thing. We didn't bring them up. The gadgets. Love the gadgets right now. So the Q lens is the first one you get where you can, it's like a contact lens thing. And the other ones, and I don't want to ruin the rest of them. That one was mentioned in all the trailers.
I mean,
but
and you
all
need, like, that is your most basic thing. That's how you navigate the missions. Like,
it's funny how many times you'll forget to use it when you
yes.
absolutely should have used it. And the other ones, here's the weird thing: when you go out on an op, you can only pick 2 of them.
Wow.
There's actually 3 slots, but the watch and Q lens fills up one of those slots. So you only get 2 other slots. It looks like I'm going to unlock another one later, but right now I can only pick 2. And I got to normally in a game, I'm like, yeah, I'm taking that now because that's, I love those things. This one is very difficult to choose the 2 you need. And already on the 2 main missions that I've been on, I've found myself in a spot where I was like, shit, I wish I would have brought that. It would have got me right through this. So be careful what you pick.
Speaking of your Q lens, so the moment where you get the watch and Q tells you like, hey, try it out. And you like, you're looking around for something to try it on. What did you trigger?
there was a laptop that I exploded, and then there was a lamp that I turned off.
Oh, well, so whenever he talks, like whenever he tells you to do something, you get a chance to do something that you can't do otherwise, and then he's like, "Oh, it's still under my permissions," and he turns it off so that you can only like activate printers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever I did it, I ended up doing the flamethrower out the back of the motorcycle, and where it's aiming up and everybody freaks out. What I had tried to
Nice.
do though, what I had tried to do was trigger the couch. I wanted to I wanted to trigger the couch that
To
they took.
eject
Yeah, no, it was a Venus flytrap. Like
Oh,
there's a guy sitting there. He tells you, but you ask like what, like what's up with this couch, and he basically says it's essentially a Venus flytrap that takes the hey, say somebody's a spy goes there and they're waiting for you, and they show up at your house, and they're sitting on your couch. Well, do this, and then they're held. And Bond says, well, how do they get out? And the guy just says, with great difficulty.
no,
So
I
while
didn't.
that
I
guy,
kind of just,
I
I
wanted to
didn't
trigger it
try
while that guy
anything
was on
cool.
it. Yeah.
Well, good for you,
Um,
man. I didn't even think about that. I was just like, okay, I'm already facing this direction. Let's do the laptop and the light. I just wanted to get out.
yeah, it lets you
So
do one of the it lets you do one big thing, and then Q freaks out and he's like, "Oh, no, 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 no. That's still my access.
damn
We
it.
need to take
Now I
that
got to
away
start
from
over.
you." Let's see. There was also, speaking of reviews, I did see a lot of people talking about some stuff that I was like, "Man, I guess I didn't really think about this." And so, I we had talked before about how I was kind of surprised about,
Yeah.
because you were a big Hitman fan, I'm a big Hitman fan,
Yeah.
and so it was kind of shocking to me whenever Bond got announced and people weren't freaking out like we were. People weren't as excited as we were.
Correct.
And I was like, what's wrong with people? This is awesome.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, like, even though a lot of people know Hitman, I didn't realize how niche it really was. And especially the new Hitman games, the World of Assassination era of the Hitman games. And so one of the complaints that I had seen from some people was that they say they start to play it and they're like, "Oh, it's unfocused," or it. I don't remember I don't remember the different language that I've heard. Unfocused is one. I think loose or something, but where they're just like, they didn't like that openness. So even some people talking about that being, obviously people that are big fans of Hitman, and they get this, they're like, they feel
Yeah.
constricted because there's only a few ways to do these things and whatever. But then there's other people that have never played Hitman, and they're like, this is too loose. And it made me think, because we'd said before how we really hoped that with this license, it would get more people into IOI's style of games and doing things, introduce them to this, and kind of have a broader appeal then to introduce them to Hitman. But I had forgotten how intimidating Hitman can be, and this style of openness can be whenever you're not accustomed to it. And at first I read those and I was like, well, or watched the videos and I was like, what's wrong with these people? And then I remembered, that first time where Hitman, because Hitman didn't used to be as wide open as it was in this World of Assassination era. And whenever they did that reboot in 2016, which the year after they released The Witcher 3, which is crazy, and Witcher 3 is still producing new content. But anyways, in 2016, and they have this training mission where there's a boat, and it's like, all right, kill this guy. And it's like, good luck. And I'm like, wait, what,
No
what are we doing?
guidance.
Yeah, how? What am I supposed to do? Like, how do I get on the boat? Like, it is kind of intimidating and scary. So it was something I'd kind of forgotten about. I'd kind of forgotten that is a bit intimidating at first. And so I hope that these people that find it unfocused or something like that, I hope that they give it a chance, because I think once you get a real taste of what that freedom can allow for and the creativity that you really get to inject into this game, I think you'll be hooked.
Yeah, that's true. Man, I'm sorry. I've got to step away for a second. My son.
No worries. Excuse me. All right, let's see. Sorry, guys. I forgot how to swallow. Don't clip that. So let's see here. Let's go back and let's think about some of the other things coming to the Hitman, the 007. Oh, I know. This is another thing that didn't find a way to really like fit it in whenever Jay and I were talking earlier, but there were in the opening mission, it's really well done. It's very cinematic, and it's a great scenario that it brings you into, and you kind of go into the shit pretty quick. You start off with James on this mission, and his helicopter is quickly downed, and the pacing on that. So the pacing of the mission and everything overall was great, but there was a weird thing that occurred. So the helicopter is shot down, you hit the water, everything goes black, and you can kind of hear the whooshing of water and stuff like that, and the light kind of slowly comes up on the screen. You're like, okay, and it's slower. Finally, you can see, okay, I'm underwater. You can see little bubbles. The little bubbles crawl up the screen, and this felt like an eternity to me. And I'm like, am I supposed to push a button? What am I supposed to do? And it just kept going and going. And then you see Bond's hand. And so that was the one place where it felt like it dragged with the pacing. And then once you see Bond as he's laying there, this is my one big complaint with the game. And I knew it was coming, and then you see like on PlayStation, which I was playing on, hit square. And so it's like QuickTime events. I thought we had evolved as a society beyond QuickTime events. Not only is it a QuickTime event, I hit it once, James kind of stirs a little bit, and I was like, oh no. I saw it pop up a second time. I'm like, I hit it a second time, James Bond stirs a little bit, and I'm like, please, if it's not going to be one or two, please let it be 4 times. Let me have to hit this thing 4 fucking times. Nope. On the third push, James Bond, that's the one that takes. I'm like, no! Can we stop? Why is it always 3? Do we have to do this every time?
So I'm just going to say this, and first off, I apologize for stepping away. But if you're a parent with teenagers,
Not forgiven.
you know exactly
Absolutely appalling.
Know what I'm talking about. He's going to
unprofessional.
He's going to see Escape from the Backrooms with his friends.
Ooh.
And then sometimes they forget they don't have the money for it. So anyway, yeah. So one thing I think people are going to be, especially if you've watched our show or listened to our show or heard any of our annoying mechanics, the rule of 3 and the yellow paint is in full effect in this game. And to me, that's its only real drawback. And again, that's just a personal thing. So it's still really not that much of a drawback. But almost everything that ends up having to need something, it's 3 things.
Yeah, the rule of 3, the yellow paint, that stuff, like, it makes me roll my eyes. But the thing but it's like, okay, it is what it is. But the thing that annoyed me, though, is the fact that QuickTime events are there. I'm like, there's no need for this. We don't need QuickTime. I was hoping that there'd be like a thing in the accessibility settings to just like.
There is.
Oh, is there?
Okay,
good.
I was getting ready to say, because I was getting ready to say it because I was like, I was going to say, look, I know either you or somebody else is going to jam me up for this. But I went into accessibility and it was like auto QuickTime events.
I would not jam you up for that. Yeah, it takes you out of it. It's not needed, and it's so stupid because, like, okay, if I'm watching a cinematic thing go on, I'm not like, hey, maybe I've got my controller sitting down. I'm just focused on this, and then it'd be like, oh crap, oh right, you got to push it. Like, come on, man, like it doesn't work. Like either. Am I okay? So I've just got to. So you've got this crazy scene going on in front of me, and I'm supposed to stare at the center of my screen, just waiting for a button to pop up to press. Like, it just takes you out of it, man. I don't like it. I don't like it.
The funny thing is, once you set it in the accessibility to auto, you'll be playing the game going. You'll get to a spot, and you'll be like, "Oh shit, that's obviously a QuickTime event." Sweet.
Do the thing
now I
can
like just watch it.
Like jammy animation where they're like
little jaggy.
Yeah, well, like that was a little jerky. I wonder what happened there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I bet I was supposed to push square right here.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna give you grief about that at all. Because I was like,
dude.
I was gonna go through the menu. I just hadn't gotten a chance to do it because I'm like, man, screw this, dude. I don't like this at all. Especially, and then there's times where which I was actually kind of surprised by. So a lot of them, they're the quick time where it's like one press, but then there's some where you got to press the button a bunch, and not only you got to press the button a fucking lot.
Yes.
Like it's not like, oh, boom, 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 boom. It's like,
And there's one, and this
it's
is
a
what made
long
me
time.
this is what made me turn it off in accessibility. There's one where you have to jam the button as fast as you can, and then right in the middle, it wants you to hit another button while you're still jamming the other one as fast as you can.
Yes. So
And I was
that
like, nope.
yeah, that was the thing. So I did that now. So I'd adjusted my grip, and so I was
Yeah.
like, okay, and because I'm on a controller, right? And I'm holding the controller
Right.
like this. And I'm like, okay, well, to get it faster, I take my index finger and I'm using my index finger to hit this button. And then it's like, now hit R2. So it's like,
Yes.
which I am no longer at R2. R2 is no longer available to me. And I thought I had screwed it up too. The way that one
Yeah.
resolves, I was like, is this a death screen? What's going on? Did I fail? Did I get it wrong?
Yeah.
Did I not do it? Yeah, it was not great. I was like, man, I don't like that. So yeah, that is as of right now, that is the one true gripe I have is I wish, and I'm glad there's a way around it. I'm glad that we can just turn it
Yeah.
off, but it just wasn't needed. It wasn't needed in the first place. And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't going to know that a lot of games that have QuickTime events have accessibility options that you
Yeah.
can deactivate them. So a lot of people are just going to be annoyed, and some of those people will probably just stop playing.
Yeah, and that's sad. I mean, I'm glad. It was weird. I even thought about it, but I'm like, hey, I started thinking there was another game I played where you could go into accessibility options and turn off QuickTime events. Wonder if this one had it. And
Yeah.
sure enough, it does.
I-
And I was like, thank God.
Yeah, Uncharted will do that where you can turn off the QuickTime stuff, and yeah, it's just so much easier because the QuickTime stuff. Like I said, there was a time where it was revolutionary. God of War was really like
Yes.
the first God of War game was really big
Yep.
for being kind of the thing that introduced it, and for that it made sense at the time because you had all these crazy things that they couldn't actually map to buttons. So they had to have some way to have you feel like you were contributing in some way to it, even though you really weren't. But now, game design's just evolved to a point beyond that, where it's like,
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
do something, and even if they, maybe it's a finisher. Okay, maybe you do a finisher a different way or something like that on somebody. You chop off a head, but you can do something that leads more into it. It's just not necessary. It made sense at the time that it existed, and they're not needed anymore. That's it as far as QuickTime events.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But again, that was really the only thing I think drew me away. So once I turned it off, the immersion was right back.
Yeah.
Which felt great. So anyway, man, obviously anybody that listens or watches, it's a fantastic game. If you're a Bond fan, it's doubly so.
It is definitely a must.
He's a great entry as the 6th Bond. I think he's the 6th Bond. So anyway, yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited to play more. Can't wait. And then so next week we'll have more in-depth coverage and opinions, I'm sure. But that's where we are right now. And that's all I've got for games. I believe since that's our big one. Are we ready to move on to the film?
Yeah, we can move on to media.
Okay. Do you just have the movie thing, or do you have some other media stuff?
I do. I really wanted to get Punisher and Spider-Man Noir in because Spider-Man Noir launched yesterday. And I, honestly, and I know this is going to sound awful, but I don't even know who's streaming that right now because I
Amazon.
don't think it's Disney. Okay, it's Amazon.
It's Amazon.
But speaking of Marvel, before we move into Star Wars, I saw where they got permission to license Stan Lee for AI for voice and likeness.
Oh, was it Stan Lee's family that allowed that?
Man, I don't know. I was so pissed off. I only read like the first couple of sentences of the article. I was like, oh God.
Well, I mean, they
So-
stole enough money from him while he was alive. This is probably the only way that his
Yeah.
family can get any money now that he's dead.
Yeah, it's funny how he didn't really make any money until like the last years of his life
Yeah, everybody
because
thinks
there was
like,
just
oh,
no
this guy.
no money. Yeah,
everybody
he
thinks like
wasn't
this guy.
though.
He made Spider-Man. He made X-Men. Like this guy's got to be loaded. Like no, contracts, like they owned everything. Marvel owned everything he did. Like
Yeah, and
yeah, it was
it,
he was the idea guy, and he made no money off of it.
yeah, he was talking about one year where he made $3,600, dude, for the year, and that was the year he invented Spider-Man and Human Torch. So
Yeah, like this guy wasn't
uh,
in it for the money. He did it. Stan Lee did. He was an OG, man. He did it for the love of the game and nothing else, because he did not
yes,
make money doing it.
yeah, he did not get wealthy until, well, almost at the end of his life. So, but yeah, they've licensed his AI, and I don't know how I feel
I don't.
about it.
Yeah, that one feels gross. You know,
And I hate to sound hypocritical when it's somebody that, is like, if a role is desperately needed for a spot in a film and that person's dead,
well, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like whenever they did Tarkin, and I understand what happened with the
that was
family, they
yeah,
weren't really aware. I can understand them being
yeah,
upset. I get it, but I'm fine with Tarkin being used in the way that he was whenever they put him in there.
yeah,
I have no problems with that. But Stanley wasn't an actor. He wasn't an integral character in anything.
no.
You know, like it's not like, oh, we can't possibly make a sequel to this without, there'd be a huge plot hole if he wasn't. And so it just feels gross. It just feels gross, dude.
And what's worse now is they could give him more beefier roles because they can use him in AI, because he was just a cameo. Everything he did was a cameo. But now if they want to use him in if they've got permission for AI, they could use him for anything. He could be a storyteller in a Marvel anthology show, for God's sakes.
Yeah, and I guess the largest roles he ever did was whenever he would be, I don't know, like I just, it feels gross. I don't
It
like
feels
it. I don't like it.
dirty. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't like it either.
And it feels exploitative. It feels exploitative of the family. It feels like, oh, hey, well, and whatever they paid, it probably wasn't as much as we think. Like if his family agreed to this so that they could have some kind of compensation for the work that he had done in his life, because God knows he deserved it and he didn't get it.
Yeah.
I bet the number is. I bet we would be upset to hear the number that they paid.
Yeah, I don't
probably
even want
not
to try
high
to
enough.
find out. Yeah, that's probably why I didn't even read the rest of the article. But anyway, in a good news note, I went to see Mandalorian and Grogu, and I know how polarized the reviews have been. I tried to stay away from a lot of them, but I know the argument was that it really wasn't a movie; it was just a long episode of Mandalorian. To which I'll say this, and
Well,
I
yeah,
was
that makes
fine
no
with
sense.
that.
I mean, well, it's
Yeah,
like, well, it has to be because
yeah,
the Mandalorian and Grogu, it felt like Star Wars broken down into episodes. So okay,
yes.
well, you put Star Wars broken down into episodes into a movie. Okay, well, it feels like the show, but that show felt like a movie that was broken into episodes. We're just talking in circles here. Like, what are we
Yeah,
doing?
and my thing is this: name me one IP that started as a television show that made a movie that didn't feel like it was just a long episode of the television show.
Exactly. That's the whole point. I mean, because
Yeah.
if they do it well, it should feel like that. If it felt like something
Yes.
completely separate, then you didn't do a good job with the characters because they felt different. It makes
Yeah.
no sense. So yeah,
Like my
okay, the Peaky
immediate
Blinders movie felt like a long episode of Peaky Blinders. No shit.
no shit. Right? I was thinking of Firefly because Serenity was a long episode of Firefly and it was fantastic. Nothing new was introduced. We had all the characters we know and love. They were the same as we knew them. And it was fantastic. And Mandalorian and Grogu is no different. I will say this: it was a return to form for Star Wars movies. You can tell Jon Favreau put every bit of Mando love that he went into that show with and created this story. And for people wondering, Grogu has come into his own. He's a much better Force user. He's sensitive to Mando's needs. There's a whole segment where you're just with Grogu, and it is. When it first started, and I was like, "Oh God, this is gonna be a whole segment with Grogu." It was fantastic, dude. Absolutely fantastic, and it was an excellent buddy movie. And every now and then those are great. And at the end of the day, like I said before the show, the question you have to ask yourself is this a Star Wars movie? Would you credit this as a Star Wars? Yes, it was fantastic. There were some standout roles. Rod of the Hutt, which we hadn't seen since he was a little nugget in the Clone Wars, hopping around. They made an excellent character out of him.
Did he have any
The gun.
was there a well-known voice actor behind him or a well-known
There
actor?
was, but I don't know. Like, I don't know him on spec, but I'm
Well,
pretty
that's okay.
sure it was.
I
Yeah.
can hear your phone bump up against the mic. I don't want to. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So, but he was excellent in it, and and there was very few characters really, which made it funny. But the ones that were there were on point. Sigourney Weaver's role as the New Republic colonel was good. Did she have a lot of screen time? No, but she didn't need it. The star of the show was Mando Grogu, as it was supposed to be. The set pieces were fascinating. The combat was good. You're not going to see lightsabers in this movie, so people got to get used to the fact that not every Star Wars property has to have lightsabers in it.
I mean, I'm sure there'll be sticklers that'll be like, well, actually, but I mean, you didn't really see
Yeah.
lightsabers in the show either. I mean, there was the dark saber,
Yeah.
but like it just wasn't a thing, because you're not following a Jedi. You're following Mandalorian. You're following a bounty hunter. You don't need lightsabers. They don't.
And
feel like-
Grogu has turned away from that path as well. He uses the Force, but he's not a Jedi.
Yeah, so it's like if you had Jedis walking around and you saw black and brown cloaks, going around, and you didn't see a lightsaber, yeah, you'd feel like you were ripped off. You're like, well, why
Yeah.
didn't any? I know you got a lightsaber under that cloak, dude, but those aren't there. So I don't think that you're gonna because just like in the show, you don't feel like you're missing out. You don't feel like you're being ripped off because there aren't Jedi. You're following around a bounty hunter. Let's do bounty hunter shit.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, man, I think it's a great movie. I don't want to spoil anything. I know you haven't seen it. I know a lot of other people haven't seen it. The weird thing was sitting in the theater with only 6 people in there. And I
Yeah,
get it. It was a Wednesday night, but school was out.
Well, I mean, this is the bed they made for themselves.
Yeah, it is.
They did this. They did this. Had this been before, before episode 8 and episode 9, and that kind of, or before the Acolyte and all these things, that would have been a full theater for sure.
Yeah.
They have killed all enthusiasm for Star Wars. Obsession, like outsold tickets domestically on Wednesday over Mandalorian and Grogu.
Oh, I believe it.
So yeah,
And when we say they made the bed, I want to be clear that for me, Kathleen Kennedy made this bed.
Dave Filoni played his part too, because Dave Filoni went along with it.
Yeah, he did. I mean, I don't know what kind of leeway he would have had to disagree, but he did play his part.
But yeah, Kathleen Kennedy was certainly the orchestrator of the whole thing, and she did what she apparently. I don't know. Like, it seems like that's what she sought out to do, was just to kill Star Wars, because I could not foresee a more effective way of doing so. But so this is what we have. If they are serious about getting it back, they're going to have to be willing to invest time, money, and other resources into high quality products whenever there's only 6 people in a theater, because you're going to have those 6 people. It's going to turn into 8 people next time. And that's going to have to turn into maybe 12 people. You're going to have to win the trust back of the fans. You took it for granted, and you fed people shit for a long time, and the only way that you can get them back is to build the trust back, because they withdrew from that trust bank too many times, and people are just saying, you know what, forget this. I'm out. I'm not doing it anymore. And so, they're going to have to be willing to invest a lot of money that they will not make back for quite a while until they finally start to make it back. That's the only way to do it.
And the shitty thing is there are some gems in there. Rogue One was a fantastic movie, and
that one was still good. That was well received. They had not killed Star Wars at that point.
And the Andor show was well received and an excellent show. But then we have Acolyte. Acolyte followed right after, and it was I don't even want to bring it up. I really don't. It was awful.
Where they tried to retcon it to the point that Anakin Skywalker was meaningless in the grand
Yes.
scheme of Star Wars. Like, what are you
Which
doing?
that I got to tell you, that had Kathleen Kennedy written all over.
Oh yeah, oh for sure. Yeah, I mean,
because she's so
100%.
anti-male, and she wasn't trying to hide it. She'd said it many times. I've worked for these men my whole life, and this was my chance. The Force is female, and I was like, oh my God, we've gone round the bend, man. This is awful.
Yeah, again, it's one of those things where it's like, hey man, you can write, great male characters, you can write great female characters, just write good characters. There's no need to try to like tear beloved characters down or reduce beloved character significance in order to raise up these other characters. It never works. It never works. All it does is it creates animosity and resentment among fans. When you do that, you have these characters. It's called the Skywalker saga for a reason. And then you're going to say, oh, these like the thing that created these millions of fans, well, they're actually nobodies. They're worthless. I don't even know why you like them in the first place. They suck. No, it's not going to work that way. You're not just going to transfer their love over to these characters just because whatever. It's a whole thing. It's dumb. I hate it. And I hope that they are correcting course. And to that end, I again, this is just a movie, and I don't want to. Jay has no insider information, obviously. Like, I'm not.
No.
Don't take this as any reports or anything like that. I'm just wondering, from what you've seen, and from what we know now that Kathleen Kennedy is no longer in power, does the Rey Skywalker movie get made?
I don't think so. I think it'll be off the block completely.
I hope so. I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, me too. I think they're going to go completely in a different direction. I think we're going to see a continuation of the Thrawn storyline, because the most requested trilogy period is the Thrawn trilogy. That is widely considered the best of the expanded universe books.
And didn't the what's her name, Rosario Dawson's character,
Ahsoka,
didn't the season 2 get delayed recently?
It did, but I mean they're well into it, so I mean we should see it.
No, but I mean that those delays could be to gear towards something better than what we were working towards at the time that it was greenlit.
Yeah.
So I hope that they can go in such a direction.
Yeah, and the funny thing is there are some fantastic scenes and set pieces in Ahsoka. By and large, it's not the greatest show on the planet, but there's a segment with where Ahsoka is in the netherworld of the Force with Anakin, and they bring back Hayden Christensen for that, and it is fantastic. It is some of the best Star Wars you'll see. So there are bits and pieces of that are great, and all the Thrawn scenes are great because everybody loves Thrawn. Man, he's an intriguing character.
Well, I definitely will have to see it. I'm glad to hear that it was good, and that it's harkening back to Star Wars of old, the Star Wars that we all fell in love with, instead of continuing down a path that unfortunately led to a theater with 6 people in it. But hopefully they're committed. Yeah, hopefully they're committed, and maybe we can start digging out of this hole that they had dug for themselves.
Yes, sir. I hope so. And man, that's all I've got tonight.
The only other thing, and we can make it quick, was I had seen Obsession. I watched that with Izzy, as we talked about before. He's a huge horror fan. I've always said, like, I don't watch a lot of horror, not because I can't take horror. It's just because you got to have a story. You gotta tie this thing together. I don't do just straight up slasher films where it's like, hey, there's this random guy that's killing these random kids for whatever reason. It's these 6 kids that he just can't get enough of, and he's just determined to whittle these guys down. It's like, okay, why? Where did he come from? Why is he carrying a machete? Just It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be Oscar worthy. You know, I'm not asking for a lot. Just give me some, no pun intended, some connective tissue here to like tie all these beheadings together. What, like, what's happening, right? And it's crazy that
Yeah.
you just don't get that most of the time. It just
No.
doesn't exist. And excuse me, Obsession was like the third horror movie that I've seen with my son in theaters. First one being 28 Days Later, which was great. Sorry, 28 Years Later, which was great. And then we saw Weapons, which was also great. These are stories. These are, yeah, that's all I need. It's just good stories. And then we have Obsession. Now, Obsession was written, directed, edited by this guy named Curry Barker, who is actually a comedian. Him and his friend Cooper, who's also in the movie, they actually have a YouTube channel together called That's a Bad Idea. And you've probably seen them on Instagram, TikTok, as these shorts. They would have these sketch comedies, much like Key and Peele. And oddly enough, also much like Key and Peele, one of these two guys has a love for horror. And he made a short film, a horror film, that's an hour and 9 minutes long. It's on YouTube. It's called Milk and Cereal, and it's on their channel. That's a Bad Idea. They made that movie for $800 and put it on YouTube. It blew up. That got him funding for this movie that he made for around $800,000. That then got bought for something like $16-17 million. That has now gone on to make a hell of a lot more than that. And now he's doing all this other stuff, you know, that he's got going on. So good for him. Very happy to see him doing well. But yeah, Obsession was basically this thing, a good twist on the old "be careful what you wish for because it might come true" kind of scenario. So the whole thing is this guy, is a very awkward guy, falling in love with this girl, doesn't know how to tell her how he feels, and he gets one wish, no takesy backsies, you know, no changing, no nothing, one wish, and he wishes that she would love him more than anyone else in the whole world. And then what follows is obviously just absolute madness. And I will say that the thing that I really liked about the movie was that Curry Barker is very, very good at preying on your anxieties. As somebody that myself, I'm very socially awkward. Yeah, I do this, you know, but I'm very socially awkward around strangers, people that I don't know. I'm very shy. I don't like to do that. I'm awful at first dates and stuff like that. And I'm bad at it. And this is nightmare fuel for anyone with social anxiety. They have these, like the way that they shoot these scenes of this guy who loves this girl and he just can't tell her how he feels, and there's all these awkward moments that many of us have lived through, like that like gets you where you're just like, oh, this, like, it's like the secondhand embarrassment, and then he rolls that secondhand embarrassment into secondhand anxiety, and then it quickly rolls into you, like, I don't know, just being just uncomfortable and on edge as things just escalate and get crazier and crazier and crazier. And then they get to a point where, okay, if something is not visually creeping you out, there's some noise that is just keeping you at the peak of your anxiety. It was just a very well crafted manipulation of anxiety. I will say that. So it's a compelling story. It's very, I'm not gonna, like I said, it's not like an Oscar-worthy story, but it's a really interesting take on the old trope. It is a story that is a fascinating thing to see unfold. And yeah, it's just it's a long, predatory, anxiety fuel movie. And if that's what you're into, it's a good time.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you got to go. I know you were talking about it, and of course, anytime you get to spend time with your kiddo, that's a wonderful thing. I'm not a big horror movie fan. We talked about this past Saturday, and it doesn't really sound as much like horror as it just does like suspense thriller in a lot of ways.
So I was actually talking to someone who shared your opinion And so she had thought that, well, if it's if it's not ghosts, it's not horror. You know, anything else is elevated thriller, kind of like what you said, elevated suspense thriller. Like if it's a serial killer, we can spin that off into some level of thriller suspense kind of thing, you know,
Yeah.
which makes sense. But I would definitely say this is skating that line. So there are certainly horror elements where there are things where you'll get a little bit of gore. There's not a lot, but there's a little bit of gore here and there, which definitely pays homage to like the slasher kind of over the top sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there are some jump scares here and there that are well executed, but by and large, it's like you said, it's very much the environment that he builds and this just sense of unease as opposed to in your face horror. Like a lot of the stuff is weird behavior that if
Right.
you were not already on edge, maybe would not have the same effect. So it's kind of like the X-Files, how they would always sort of play it in a way where it's like, okay, if you wanted to believe it was supernatural, that path was available to you. If you
Yeah.
wanted to think that it was a logical explanation, that path was left open for you. So it's kind of like that, where it's like, okay, if you wanted to say that it's not, if you wanted to say that it was just straight up horror, there is certainly a path for you to justify that assumption. But if you wanted to say, like, I don't know if I would go as far as to call it horror, that path is also available because yeah, there's a lot of this stuff that maybe if you weren't already at this heightened state, it would not be as disturbing as it is.
Okay. Well, you've definitely described it very well. So,
You'll have to check it
um,
out and see what you think. I would be curious to know
yeah.
your thoughts on it.
Well, now I kind of want to watch it because I don't. I've always been very extroverted, man. So I don't have that same. It makes me wonder if somebody with a different mindset about like I don't have. I'll just walk up to people, dude, and talk to them. I don't have that kind of
So
anxiety. I
so
never
now
have.
I would love for you to watch this movie then because I
Yeah.
would be very very interested to
Well,
see
then now I will.
what that is. And it's actually, I believe it's going to be like on, like you'll be able to access it on video on demand
Yeah.
within like the next week or two. It's going to be on there pretty quick, so you don't
To
even have
give
to
you
go
an
to the theater.
idea, to give you an idea of what I would call a reverse anxiety of like for me, when I walk into a room and everybody's just quiet, like I'll just walk up to somebody and go, "Hey, what are you here for?" You know, I'm that guy. I'm not just gonna we're not just gonna stand there. I'm like, this is uncomfortable as fuck. What is going on right now? So I have to know. Um
I
so
would
yeah,
be very interested then because I'm very much the opposite. I'm the guy where it's like, you know what? Whenever I go into the grocery store, I'm gonna limit my cart to 10 items or less so I can go through the self-checkout and not have to talk to a cashier. You know, like let's limit the level of social interaction to that degree, right?
and
Like
I'd
we're not.
bet money that every cashier in this town knows when I come up there, I'm going to ask, "How'd your day go? Has it been busy in here?" You know,
Yeah, they're
hey,
like, oh, here he
are
comes.
you just starting? Or are you getting off here shortly? Or you know, and I'm always that guy. I
So
want them to make them feel not like an. I always feel like people working always feel like a number, and I kind of want them to feel like a person. And you know, that's just me.
So I'm yeah. We definitely got to have you watch it, and then we can compare notes because so much of that tension that I got myself
Yeah,
was because of these scenarios that I've certainly been in, that I've felt really awkward in, and like you get this anxiety as a result from it. So someone that doesn't have those same anxieties, I wonder how you would view those scenes, whether it would add to the ultimate formula that we get by the end of the film,
yeah,
like how you would perceive it. So yeah, I would love to get
yeah.
your
Now I'm
thoughts.
definitely interested more from a scientific fall on the
For
sword than
science, we have to do it for
yeah.
science.
Yeah.
Uh
Once you see now, once you've introduced it for science, now I'm behind it no matter what the genre is, right? So it's one of those things now where I'm able to bypass my hate for horror film for science.
There we go. It's
yeah,
an
that's-
experiment now.
That's all you had to say, fool.
And another conversation that I had as well was also around who's the title alluding to? Who's obsessed in Obsession? And I think it's an interesting question, which we can discuss once you've seen it, and we can do some spoilers and stuff like that, and we can talk about some of the interesting, because this is one of those things that at first it might seem pretty straightforward, but
Yeah.
the more you look into it, there's a lot of layers going on to it. And yeah, I commend Curry Barker in his writing for kind of coming up with this concept. It's very creative with the concept. But yeah, so for science, Jay at some point, with hopefully the next couple of weeks or whatever, we'll be able to see Obsession, and we will.
Oh, I'll find it and watch it.
We'll get in there. We'll get in there.
All right, man. Who was the production house on it, or was it under him? Did he have a big production house?
Bloomhouse bought it.
Okay.
So so he made it, and then they bought it.
Okay. All righty. Sounds good, dude.
All right. Well, that is all that I have. Jay, do you have anything to say to the fine people in closing?
I do not, other than, I'm looking forward to getting into some more 007 this weekend. I have been playing a bunch of Space Marine 2. Oddly enough, I've played no Genesis this week for the first week in
obligatory Genesis mention.
Probably for the first time in probably 6 weeks. I've played none, and I feel like a sinner for not having done so.
Like you feel shameful just uttering the words.
I've had some friends get into Space Marine 2, and my son has got the Warhammer bug, and I used to be a big tabletopper with that, and they released this new update which just brought boatloads of people back into the fold because it basically just gave a ridiculous amount of free content. So looking forward to doing a little bit of both, little 007, little Space Marine, and having a good time this weekend, man, and just vegging out because I've had a shit 2 weeks, as I know you have. So thanks for asking. Sorry to get overly descriptive, but yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be a busy week. It's gonna be a busy weekend, but I definitely want to try to get some more 007 time in when I can, and we can talk some more in-depth thoughts of it next week. But yeah, that's all I got. So thank you guys, and we will talk to you next week.
Later.
Yeah.
Later.
Oh, I missed the button. I hit the wrong button.
You missed the button. Still here.
I must